Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Your host, the Raven, here, bringing you some more Path of Exile action. This time, we're going to do some Tier 9 mapping. Tier 9 is on the upper medium scale of the end game. I would say tiers 1 through 5 are like the beginner end game maps. 6 through 10 are like the medium, and then when you have 11 to 15 and plus, those are like the super high-end maps where you have to be extremely powerful. Your build probably just has to be just about perfected at that point. You'll be noticing that I'm using a new attack skill. The one thing I like about Path of Exile, there's always reason for growth. There's always a way to improve yourself. There's always some way that you can, get better, get stronger, and you can do that through discovery, through action, through fighting, and not just through, constantly getting just the newest gear that the company pumped out or whatever. Like most MMOs, they just come out with a fancier tier of gear, and you have to grind a dungeon or whatever over and over again to get that item. And then when you get that item, you got to power it up and all that kind of stuff. But Path of Exile, it's mostly just trial and error, finding what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If you get your butt kicked, you need to go back and see why. Was it because was your armor too weak? Were you missing elemental defense or physical defense, or defense against chaos damage, or whatever? You find out what the problem is. Was it your movement skill? Were you just standing there taking hits? Which the Path of Exile doesn't allow that. You can get away with that stuff, when you're very first starting a new character, early in the game. But after a while, it gets especially if you want to do the in-game content, it gets to the point where you just cannot simply just stand there and take hits. You have to be mobile. You have to be just as active with your character as you are with your skills and things of that nature. This map here, Tier 9, the biggest problem with the modifiers is the fact that I think it's 40% less recovery of life mana, and it's an energy shield. It's a 40% reduction of those, and that hurts me. The 40% reduced life recovery doesn't really help, since it doesn't really affect me since I use Chaos Inoculation. But the reduced mana could be a big problem. I usually never run out of mana, but if you're getting 40% less, that can happen, especially with my old skill. That's another reason why I changed attack skills, because I just wasn't getting the results that I wanted from that skill. I loved it. I love Glacial Cascade. It looks awesome, and it's a fun power to use. Honestly, I like the fact that it goes through barriers, and it goes up and down hills and things like that. So you can, get enemies that are below you or above you. So if they're behind a tree or something like that, it passes through most objects. And it's very fun and very versatile, but it just wasn't putting out the damage. It just wasn't killing as efficiently as I would like. And in order to get it to do that, I would have to just totally tear down my build and build for area of effect instead of other things like spell damage and stuff like that, and I just wasn't willing to do that. But with Arctic Breath, it's powerful, especially its cold damage really utilizes the cold to fire gem to its maximum potential. And that's another thing, the Glacial Cascade wasn't utilizing the cold to fire to its maximum potential, because its cold damage is weak, and it also mixes in physical damage, which that was an unnecessary problem for me. I didn't need physical damage along with cold damage or fire damage or other types of damage, because that's just one more thing you have to worry about. If an enemy reflects physical damage, then boom, I'm taking hits from that. Or if you're on a map and one of the modifiers is that all enemies reflect 20% physical damage or something like that, I'm being hurt I'm hurting myself basically by shooting it or whatever, using the power. Whereas with Arctic Breath, it's just simply cold damage, elemental damage, so it's no physical damage, so I don't have to worry about physical reflect. So I mean, you just got to learn and grow, and I think that's the best thing about this game is that there are some grindy parts, but you can cut out, I would say, 80% of grinding and stuff like that by just, improving your looting skills. Know what to pick up, what not to pick up. Don't waste your money, trying to craft items and armor that's only slightly stronger than what you're already wearing. My rule of thumb is that, say like your item, for every 10 item levels, maybe then it's worth 10 to 20 item levels difference. Then it's worth changing, crafting new gear or whatever, using monies and goods for that reason. As you can see, we're at the boss. He's slow moving. He's very strong. He takes a lot of damage. He's one of those bosses that summons helpers sometimes. And when you fight a boss that summons other monsters, you have to be very careful, because some of the monsters they summon can be almost as powerful as the boss you're fighting themselves. So they can be very dangerous. But he's not that fast. I mean, I can teleport, so I mean, he's just about toast. And Arctic Breath, I love the way. I mean, it's so fast. It does have its limitations. I hate the way it doesn't pass through solid objects. So a lot of times, if I'm in a forest or a tomb or a jail cell or a crypt or dungeon, a place with a lot of narrow areas and obstructions, that hinders my mobility. But there's always a give and take. So you just have to find your rhythm, what works for you and your groove, and go play to your strengths. So you can see the boss gets eaten up, and that's just whoop-de-doo. I'm happy about that. One more map on the Atlas down. The in-game content in Path of Exile is so great. I really enjoy it. It's good because there's so much to do, but not in a grindy way. Like, if you want this high-level stuff, run this dungeon 1 million times, or do this quest 100 million times, or collect 3 billion little trinkets to turn in or whatever. It's just improve your skills, improve your fighting ability, and get better. So anyway, I'm your host, Raven. I appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for more action, and have a great day.